right. We are going to move into our mode of to tell the truth. So let's get our first set of storytellers up on stage. Here's how it's going to work, we think. So, we're going to go through the story, and then some of the audience will get a chance to come up and ask a question of the storytellers to find out if they can figure out who is the real storyteller. Yeah, come up, storytellers, for storyteller number one. Now, the way that you get to do that is because this is our 16th birthday. We've done this before where we have this app. You can text Story B Day to 44321, and if you give $16 or more, you're going to show up on a list on the, well, actually, any amount you give is going to show up on the list. But our idea is to select from people in the audience who have given to Story Night $16 or more, and you'll get a chance to come up and ask these 3 questions that will benefit the entire audience. As we switch to a poll that will allow you to scan a QR code, theoretically, and find a poll where you get to decide if it's storyteller number 1, storyteller number 2, or storyteller number 3. Hopefully that'll make more sense while it's happening. It's all theoretical until we get to the other side.
That was pretty good.
That's because it's true.
About 15 years ago, I was working for Fish and Game, and we had one of those breeding facilities out in Caldwell, which that 15 years ago, Caldwell was not what it is today. It was not the new Nampa. As a matter of fact, even Nampa wasn't the new Nampa. And so I'm working out there, and we got a whole collection of animals. We got 15 bighorn sheep, which you ever seen one of those with their horns wrapping around like, maybe God is capable of making mistakes. And we had 30 bison, and the bison, they'll look at you like, give me a cookie. Always wanting something, those bison. And then we had 100 elk. And for all those 100 elk, we had 3 bull elk. Why? For breeding. I mean, these guys are busy. And so they're doing, the bull elk do their thing. And it's reached the point where they're all done, and the she elks are out in the pasture smoking a cigarette. So what are we going to do with these 3 bull elk, right? Well, we give them to the food bank. Yeah, they turn them into people food. Like Soylent Green. Well, I'm up on a raised platform, and I got my bull elk. There's Dino. I got my rattle paddle to guide them through the chutes and the alleyways to get them onto the truck to go to the food bank. So Dino goes, no problem. And then we got Sammy. Now, Sammy's a little tricky because he's blind in one eye, and if you don't supervise him, well, he'd just go around in circles. And so I led him through the chutes and the alleyways and up into the truck. Now, if you ever seen a bull elk, you're probably wondering, well, how much does a bull elk weigh? Typically it's 600 or 700 pounds. Okay, but now we're on to the third. Frank. Frank must weigh about 3,800 pounds. He's big, and he's mean, and he's got those bloodshot eyes and a smoke coming out of his ears, and I'm trying to lead him onto the ramp, into the truck, and he's about to go up the ramp, and he turns and he looks at me, and he comes charging, and he jumps up onto the wall. Now I'm on the elevated platform and I go over 10 feet and I land safely on my arms. Ow. Well, Julie, my tech, she comes running over. Are you okay? You okay, Lewis? Well, you don't look so okay. How many fingers am I holding up? And I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wait a minute. I shake my head. Oh, no, 3. And she's like, well, maybe you ought to call your wife. No, don't worry about it. I'm fine. You go home. I'll lock up. We're not going to send the bulls tonight. They get a reprieve. We'll let them out into the pasture, and we'll worry about it tomorrow. So you go home. I'll lock up. I'll turn out the lights. No big deal. She takes off. I lock up, turn out the lights, I head out to my truck. I get in the truck, and I start up the truck. Now, you want to know the best way to drive a truck? Not with your elbows. But that's all I had left, and so I drove home like this, going, ow, I'm trying to sing, right, like distract myself, and I get home, and I say, okay, lights are out. I'm just gonna sneak in the back and head up the stairs to bed. And my wife, she won't know. I mean, I know I'm supposed to call her. I forget. I didn't call her. So now I'm trying to get out of the truck, and I can't get out of the truck. So I honk the horn. Honk, honk, honk with my forehead. See the lights come on in the house. My wife comes running out. She takes one look at me and she said, Jesus Christ, Lewis, what happened to you? And so I told her. And then she went like this. She held up one finger. She said, Lewis, do you remember? We had a rule, right? We talked about this. If you get injured, you're supposed to call me. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, but I didn't. And rule number 2 is that if you call me and I don't pick up the phone, well, don't leave a message. Honey, I remember that as if it was yesterday. It was yesterday. No wonder. And if you had just called me, I would have come in and I would have got you. And I say, you know what? Don't worry, honey, baby, sweetie pie. It won't happen next time. And she said, ha! Next time? There'll be no next time. We're going to the ER right now. And so she took me down to the ER. And we waited for what seemed like 36 hours, and they took me in. And then in walks Dr. Drake Ramore, which is not his real name. I changed the names to protect the practitioners. He comes in and he looks at me and he looks at my wife and he looks at me and he looks at my wife and he says, Mrs. Katz, I'm very sorry, but we're going to have to put him down. And then he starts laughing, and I'm laughing, and we're all laughing except my wife. Well, she's not laughing. See, that very funny. And the doctor said, no, seriously now, we're going to have to operate, but you'll be almost as good as new. And so the next day we did the operation, and sure enough, I was almost as good as new. My wrist, which it already, it seems to be a magnet for disaster, but you know what? It's not quite perfect, but it's really good for fly fishing. And my elbow, it acts up every now and then, mostly when I'm in the line at the In-N-Out trying to get to the front. And that's the conclusion of the middle of this story. And now some other guy is going to come up and try to convince you that it's his.
Okay, now's the time where you can take out your phones. Now, if you don't know how to text Story B Day to 44321, what that means is you open your messaging app, you type 44321, and then the message says Story B Day, and then you hit send. Then it's going to send you a link for you to click, and then you can do your thing. If you want to give a gift but you don't want to ask a question, you can do it anonymously. I won't call on Anonymous to do a question.
All right, maybe this is a question for all three of you. Who's willing to take off their hat?
That's an easy question. I'd say no. Actually, no. I'd say no. Yeah, none of us.
All of you are no? That's not fair. I guess that was my question.
Chelsea, are you on your way? Come on, Chelsea, think of your question as you're coming down. I don't know how long my cord is. All right, so you can ask a different question to each storyteller or the same question across.
And the goal is to guess.
You're trying to figure out who the imposters are, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, I think I know who the imposter is, but I don't know what question to ask. Number 2, what's your job?
Yeah, come to the mic. Actually, all three of you come up to the mic.
On the count of 3, say your jobs. Just kidding.
Veterinarian.
Oh, right.
Veterinarian with the Idaho Department of Fish and Game.
You're all veterinarians.
Veterinarian. Yeah.
Right, maybe something about being a veterinarian.
What kind of animals did you work on last week?
Which one?
Number 2.
Why do you keep picking on me?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, I will ask a question of each of the storytellers. Storyteller number 1, what kind of drug is the safest to use to put a large animal under?
It's a form of lidocaine called priscostanozone. Does that help?
Storyteller number 2, same question.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, what's the safest drug to use to make a large animal unconscious?
Hydrocortisone.
Storyteller number 3, same question, please.
High-potency narcotic called carfentanil.
All right, thank you very much. You can take your seats.
My dad always knew I was a quitter, which is why he made me join the swim team when I was 7 years old. Our coach was mean. He hated kids. He would make us swim laps, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And he would yell at me, "Lewis, quit wiggling," because I was a wiggler, okay? And I was tired from swimming all those laps. And so one day I get out of the pool and I go up to the coach and I raise my hand to ask him, to let him know that I was there and that I was tired. And I said, "Coach," nothing. "Coach," nothing. "Coach," still nothing. So I shoved him into the pool. And I'm laughing, and everybody's laughing, and the coach, he's not laughing. And he gets out of the pool, and he's looking at me, and he's growling at me like he always did, like, "Argh." And I'm thinking, I got to make like a banana and leave. And so I took off running, even though there's a big sign that says, "No running, no horseplay." I took off running and I ran straight into the locker room, up the stairs, down the hall, and the coach is right behind me running. I could feel his hot wolf breath on my neck, him going, "Argh." And I ran to the left, and he ran to the left. And I ran to the right, and he ran to the right. And then I did that zigzag maneuver thing that they taught us in the pool during guppies. And he was right there. He was everywhere I went, there he was. And I'm running out of breath, and then I get into a corner, and I turn around, and there he is, and he goes, "Ah, got you now." And he picks me up, and I'm swinging, and I'm kicking, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, "Ah!" And he's carrying me down the hall. And I'm still kicking and swinging and screaming down the hall and down the stairs and down to the deck of the pool. And 1, 2, 3, and he throws me out, way out into the middle of the pool where not even the U.S. Navy could rescue me. But they don't have to because I know how to swim. And I'm dressed for it. Not like the coach in his street clothes all sopping wet like a lone soggy wolf. And so I get out of the pool, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Ah," and then I went, and I got dressed, and then my dad picked me up at the Y, and he said, "How was swimming?" And I said, "Horrible." And he's like, "That's nice," and he unplugs his hearing aid. I didn't even get to tell him the story. Next time we come back, something changed, right? It's still the same coach, but instead of growling at me like, "Argh," it's more like, "Argh." Like he was nice all of a sudden. It's like, what happened to the coach? I don't know this guy. And I'm like, okay. And then the next time I showed up, he was gone. Like, what happened to the coach? I mean, I didn't ask it out loud. No, because I was a kid. And when you're a kid, people come and people go, and you don't question it. It's just, this is okay. He was here today, gone tomorrow, whatever. And maybe he got fired. Maybe he quit. Maybe he got drafted. I wasn't asking questions. And so now, but I did ask my dad a question. I said, "Daddy, can I quit?" And he said, "No." How come Annie doesn't have to swim? Annie was my older sister. How come Annie doesn't have to be on the swim team? And he said, "Well, Annie's older for one thing, and she plays the flute." I'm thinking, what's that got to do with anything? "Well, how come I can't play an instrument?" And he said, "Well, you played the clarinet, but it made you burp. And so you quit." "Oh, yeah. No, this is true." "Well, Daddy, can I play the drums?" "No." For 3 long years, I was on the swim team. And when that swim team wasn't good enough for him, he switched me to another one. And when that one wasn't good enough, he switched me to another one. 3 long years, 3 long teams. And finally, one day, I'm in the car with my dad. And I said, "Daddy," he said, "What?" I said, "You know what I want to be when I grow up?" And he's thinking, "Oh, my sonny boy, he wants to be an engineer when he grows up, just like me." And he says, well, what?" "Not on the swim team." And he looked at me, and he said, You know what, Louis? If Mom says it's okay to quit, you can quit." And I said, "Well, I already asked Mom, and she said I could quit." And then he said, "Well, then, if Mom says okay that you could quit, then you could quit." And I said, "Well, then I quit." And that was the day I became a man.
Where did you attend Hebrew school? Number 1.
Number 1, where did you attend Hebrew school?
You know, it was a long time ago. I think it was in Hollywood, California. That's a place in California. They
Was
make
that
movies there.
North Hollywood, maybe?
It's
North
it's
Hollywood,
South. They don't call it South Hollywood, but it's Hollywood.
Okay.
Number 3, where did you attend Hebrew school?
I attended Hebrew school in Hollywood.
Do you want to know where I attended Hebrew school?
Actually, let's shift the question a little bit. Let's ask Janet what's something that she learned in Hebrew school.
A favorite phrase.
Well, it was so long ago. L'chaim.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go to our poll.